Ontario, Skip Fort Williams. Blue Rocks will be New Brunswick, Skip Bob O'Day. On sheet 2, Red Rocks, Newfoundland and Labrador, for Skip Garry Oak. And Blue Rocks, Quebec, Skip Jacques Taillon. Number 1, Red Rocks, Manitoba, Skip Mark Franklin. Blue Rocks from Ontario, Skip Bruce Delaney. Our feature game this morning on Sheet 3, shooting Red Rocks, Northwest Territories, Skip Paul Delorey, and Blue Rocks from Saskatchewan, Skip Eugene Hritzuk. Thank you very much and have a great morning.
Who's got a hammer on the sheet?
Hello and welcome back to our coverage of the 2016 Kings County Canadian Masters Curling Championship. My name is Ryan Corsel. I'm joined this morning by Selena Thompson for the call on Sheet 3. Hello, Selena.
Hi, Ryan. It's a pleasure to be back at the Wolfville Curling Club with more action from this Masters Championship. We've got some interesting scenarios starting to line up. We are featuring, of course, as you can see there in your screen, Team Saskatchewan taking on the Northwest Territories. Team Saskatchewan throwing the Blue Rocks will throw first, and that means that Northwest Territories with the Red Rocks has the hammer in the first end. So to get us started, our Team Saskatchewan lead, Dave Folk.
That's right, Selena. You mentioned interesting scenarios trying to shape up in the standings. These teams both with one win. Saskatchewan is at 1-2. Northwest Territories is a game ahead of that at 1-3. So Northwest Territories would like to bring Saskatchewan back here. Saskatchewan currently holding the 4th spot in that pool, and the top 4 will advance to the championship pool once this preliminary pool play is over with. So a few things on the line here this morning.
It's important for both of these teams to get out of this with a win. Of course, only one will, but they are both trailing the top 3 teams in their pool. It's Pool A, and the teams that have no losses at records of 4-0 are BC and Ontario, and then following them is Manitoba at 3-0. So Manitoba still has a game to play.
And this afternoon,
in fact, they're playing right now.
Yeah, they're playing Team Ontario, so a bit of a battle of the undefeated going on Sheet 1. We'll keep you updated on how that goes. Other games going on during Draw 7 here this morning. On Sheet 2, we have Newfoundland and Quebec. And on Sheet 4, we have Northern Ontario and New Brunswick. Both of those games from the other men's pool going on here this week. So Saskatchewan will actually play Manitoba this afternoon in one of those undefeated teams. So they'd like to come away here with a win. They have a tougher game, according to the standings anyways, coming up this afternoon. You know, usually at Canadian Nationals, they say all the games are tough. So
we've seen some battles so far. We had the call, Ryan and I, yesterday morning, and we saw an extra end in a little bit of a comeback and eventual loss. Unfortunately, that was for Team Yukon against, who were they playing? They were playing Team Ontario. Yep. It was a very tight game right down to the extra end. And so we're at the Wolfville Curling Club. There's also games. It's the combined men's and women's championship. And so there's our women's games as well going on, and that'll be later today at the Glooscap Curling Club in Kentville, Nova Scotia. And if you're in the area, you are more than welcome to come out and join us, watch from behind the glass, where you can see all of the other games as well.
Yeah, two other men's games going on at the Glooscap Curling Club right now, and I was going to say tune in and check out the other game, but since there's no game on sheet 3, there might not be any coverage over there this morning.
No, there wouldn't be coverage. And they should just be finishing up. And then another draw is at 11:30 this morning, and that'll be the women's draw at the Glooscap Curling Club.
So we've set you up here with what's going on this Wednesday here at the Canadian Masters. Your nice corner guard by Northwest Territories there. And Saskatchewan's going to wrap right around that. Actually, lots of curl there to the inside out. Actually comes out on the other side of that. But Northwest Territories is just going to follow that down and hope to use it to score their deuce here in the first end.
So we've got second for Team Northwest Territories. Just released his stone. That's Garry Tkachuk. This team, for the most part, plays out of the Yellowknife Curling Club. Skip Paul Delorey plays out of the Hay River Curling Club.
So a little heavy there from Garry.
Nice opportunity for Saskatchewan to split the rings and try and get a force here. Just a couple options here to force the team. The Saskatchewan stone is not in great scoring position right now, so normally splitting the house, if there were no guards in play, is a good way to force. Another option that I don't know if Saskatchewan looked at was peeling that corner guard, and you'd probably get out of it with a blank, but we may still see Northwest Territories at some point in this end try and use that corner guard to generate a deuce.
Yeah, I think looks like he's going to hit the ones that just thrown, but you might see Northwest Territories eventually just ignore it all and try to generate their deuce with that corner guard. It's still there.
It is a long guard. We see it at the bottom of the screen there. It's not too far over that hog line, so it may be accessible with the curl here. We saw a little bit of a couple straight spots in the game yesterday. Of course, we're always featuring sheet 3, so we get a good chance to watch this sheet.
This one's curling early, swooping hard to keep a piece. And they'll get the piece they need to remove the stone, but the shooter will roll out.
So Jim Wilson here throwing. Third for Saskatchewan.
It's a good look there. A nice tuck delivery coming from Western Canada. This Saskatchewan rink curling out of the Nutana Curling Club. Second appearance for Jim at the Canadian Masters Curling Championships. Has a couple appearances at the senior level and a couple appearances at the Brier as well. So no shortage of talent here this week at the Canadian Masters. No shortage of talent and surely no shortage of experience. The Northwest Territories is still running after that open stone. No big move being made yet. As they can hold their shooter here, they maybe hope for a rollout from Saskatchewan and then use the corner guard. And as that rock moves higher up in the house with the exchange of hits, you might see Northwest Territories eventually aggressively go after the long roll as well. But,
yeah, I think if Saskatchewan noses this, it'd be a good opportunity to try for that roll.
Because Saskatchewan is happy exchanging stones and getting the force out of Northwest Territories here. It's really going to have to be the Territories that force the issue. As we mentioned, that rock moving higher up in the house, so a bit of a roll opportunity available here. And you saw the skip Eugene Hritzuk indicate that. Sorry, the skip for Northwest Territories, Paul Delorey. Eugene is the skip for Saskatchewan.
Jack MacKinnon. Both Jack and Skip Paul are natives of Nova Scotia. So they
Bit of a
must be a little
homecoming.
happy to be home. Nova Scotia's been host to a few championships over the past year. We just had the Canadian Seniors last week. That was in Digby. And the Men's World Championships in 2015 were in Halifax last year. Nose hit there out of Northwest Territories, didn't get the roll they were looking for, so it is available for Saskatchewan to hit and lie to. They'll probably be looking to keep this on the high side and roll to the open side of the sheet.
Yeah,
Sweeping to hold the line.
Yeah, it's a nice hold there. So with the position of the other blue stone on the right-hand side of your screen as you see it now, you might want to go hard for the roll now because the stone's going to get too high to make any significant roll pretty soon.
And it may be that Paul does need a roll in order to be shot after this is hit.
Yeah, you can play the roll a bit more aggressive now, as if you hit it right, that other blue will actually catch your shooter stone.
We see the hearts there on the chest of Jack MacKinnon, the third for Northwest Territories. 4 of those, so he's been at the past 4 Canadian Masters. This will be his 5th. No shortage of experience at the national level on either team.
So we changed the turn here. They've been going across the face so far. And change the turn here, see if they can get the roll this way. This one's curling as well. And just get the nose hit, and I think it's close enough to be shot stone. But chances at a deuce for Northwest Territories evaporating quickly here.
We've talked a little bit, Ryan, about directional sweeping. We were seeing Northwest Territories try and get that stone to curl, and then ended up at, after the hog line realizing that they overcooked it a little bit, and it actually came up to nose. So they were trying to get the roll there, but actually resulted in the nose hit, which was unintended. And we've seen that a little bit with some of this directional sweeping as teams getting caught, jumping a little too early. I know my own team had that issue when we started trying to see how that whole thing worked, and we were finding it worked very well, and
yeah, same
too well.
Here. Yeah, same here, Selena. You really have to watch at what point you employ it, because too early, and yeah, you can overcook them pretty easily.
Yeah, almost the same thing as when some teams will jump the sweeping call for line, so to keep it straight, and then you don't let the rock catch the curl naturally, and it holds it out too wide. So that it seems like a similar effect can happen there with the overcurl. Is jumping it a little too early can do the exact opposite.
So Team Saskatchewan successful in setting up the force here. You're going to see Paul Delorey with a draw against 2 in the first end. There's no real hit available, because if he knows the one on the center line, it would not be shot rock, and that one on this side is somewhat hidden by the guard there. So an early test here for Northwest Territory skip Paul Delorey. He needs full 8 for a single point. We're on it for line now, because with that draw weight, will curl a bit more. You need to get by that blue. And
he will not.
He will not. So see the stones being kicked away there, and we have an early steal of 2 for Team Saskatchewan here during draw 7 on sheet 3 at the Wolfville Curling Club.
Bit of a surprise there, Ryan, that over curl. These teams did have a pre-game practice where they had a draw to the button for last rock, and obviously Northwest Territories earning the hammer won that draw to the button. So it was a bit surprising to see that stone just come up light and over curl there. Steal a 2 come out of nowhere.
Yeah, I thought he might have played down the center past curling past the one in the middle. So there's lots of room behind that corner guard, and all you needed was 8 foot, and that was kind of more similar to the path they had thrown all end. So goes out a bit further wide. They're trying to get around the one in the center, and yeah, gets caught with the weight. You see a couple of hairbrushes there being used by Team Saskatchewan. The moratorium placed by Curling Canada on the hairbrushes was only applicable to Scotties and Brier, so we've seen them come out here to a few of these competitions. I think the jury's still out as to what we'll see next year, but maybe that rule will be a little broader and might get a little narrower as well. We're not quite sure, I think.
It's been a very interesting year in curling, in a year where don't really expect any big news, and the whole year is the discussion of sweeping technique and brush heads and all that stuff. And some teams get heated, but these guys have been great out here. And
I really think it's completely taken everything we've learned about curling and flipped it on its head as far in regards to the sweeping. They played the tournament just this past weekend with someone who hadn't played all year, just more or less took the year off, but came out of semi-retirement for this Bonspiel, and really had to, give him the lowdown on how things are done now, because it's not the way we were taught to curl when we were learning. So it's nice to see the game evolve as more tests are done, more science comes out on the effects of the different sweeping surfaces.
Dave Folk placing that stone in the rings. It's a bit unfortunate there for Saskatchewan. If they had gotten that around, it'd be buried, and if they had ticked a little more, they would have had a split there.
Yeah,
and
just
had their
rubbed
two
the
blue
backside
stones
of
in.
it, eh?
A little bit of work to do for Northwest Territories. The first guard there, we were talking over it, but the guard from Ben McDonald coming up a bit light and just stopping before the hog line. The sweepers couldn't get it over, so they'll work with stones in the rings.
Yeah, Paul could decide to throw another corner here and stick to that strategy. It's still pretty early in the end, but as you said, he's going to try to work with what he's got here. And seems to have given up on the corner guards pretty early. This one's just going to catch the outside of the red. Will it be enough to eliminate the blue? And it seems to spin back into the house last minute, and I'm sure that's a biter on the back 12 there. So you see Eugene here calling for the tap on the rock in front of the stone. I'm curious to know whether he has picked up on this ice early enough to know that it's too straight to come around it, or we have a wrong color coming down here. But, it's okay.
We'll get that all sorted.
Sort that out afterwards.
Good for a split if they can roll the shooter on. There we go.
Exchange of stones here.
So Saskatchewan will sit two. The raised rock ends up in a really nice place there, right on the center line in front of the biter at the back. But the shooter rolls over to the side. Doesn't look like it's in the rings, does it, Ryan? And
no, I don't think so. And you're going to see Team Northwest Territories try to use that as a corner guard that they weren't able to put up themselves. But as you said, use anything they got here, and that's a rock out on the wing they can use. This one needs to curl as well.
Like to get a piece of it. Try and slow down the shooter, or at least move the shot stone out of the way.
So it manages to move it out of the center line area, but is not removed from play. And here we have Eugene asking Verne Anderson, the second stone, for a tap on that blue stone again. I'm kind of slightly perplexed by this call, but team obviously has a plan and a dynamic that works for them. And
it'd be a little similar to the last end where Saskatchewan's just looking to sit two.
looking
and
for the force, yeah.
yeah, prevent Northwest Territories from using the corner guard by blocking it. This one will over curl and tap the Saskatchewan stone in the rings, but does leave a corner guard, so no question Paul Delorey will ask Garry Tkachuk to draw.
Be interested to see this line here. I've seen a lot of movement inside out in general. This one definitely is curling. It's gonna have over curled already. So it taps the blue, another rock into the 12-foot side of the 8-foot for Saskatchewan. That corner guard is now Northwest Territories color, so we'll try to use that again, I'm sure. As you said, Selena, Eugene just looking to split the house here and is quite content with forcing Northwest Territories to 1.
Becomes tough, doesn't it? The house is already fairly split. There's good separation between the blue Saskatchewan stones, so you'd like to leave this in front of the tee line.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, you're right. There isn't. Just put another one in there on the side anywhere. I don't think Paul's going to switch to the hit game here, but he might. Sometimes as the opposition stones add up, it becomes an eyesore more than anything, and you just want to see less of them. So that would be a reason for the hit.
Jim Wilson's got good rotation on his stone there. Stayed a little straighter, I think, than Eugene expected. But it does stop top 8-foot.
So as predicted, Delorey sticking with the draw game here. The other option is that hit and roll. With where that rock stopped, I'd be awfully tempted to try the hit and roll because it's pretty natural into that side blue.
Yeah, and I'm sure Paul Delorey thinking as well about his last shot at this point. We're on to third stones, and if you're going to have to make a draw, you'd prefer it to be against fewer stones.
Yeah.
But they've gone back to the draw here.
Back to the draw. More
better
line
way to
on this
generate a
one.
deuce.
More line and more weight, so not quite getting the curl they got on the first one. Across the center line now, it's still pretty far from that corner guard, unfortunately. And it will slide in.
It came down quite a bit on Team Northwest Territories.
Yeah.
Sweepers did not want to go on that.
I agree,
and
yeah.
wider line is understandable why you don't want to sweep for that reason, but would have liked to get that a little deeper, although in the position at, I think it's third stone right now, it's hard not to jam this if you're Saskatchewan.
A couple jam possibilities here for sure.
And they'll safely punch that through the hole. Good line call
from Saskatchewan. So Saskatchewan, as we look at it now, laying 6. Still a good opportunity here for Paul Delorey.
Yeah, he's certainly got lots to work with, and if you roll this shooter anywhere, it's probably going to be anywhere to the right side of the screen. It's probably going to be partially buried.
Just seems once they get off center line, they really start curling. This one's going to over curl as well. But it does hang around. It's
Just
second
missed the
shot.
double. Again, no question for Saskatchewan. Even though that stone of Northwest Territories isn't shot. No need to mess around, just remove it. And make the other team make their shots.
Just make red go away here. Successful in doing so.
Nice shot from skipper Eugene Hritzuk.
So Paul Delorey looking at the run back here.
One less Saskatchewan stone than in the previous shot to worry about. But how do you generate your deuce here? There is a tight port between the red guard and the blue Saskatchewan stone. Could still play a freeze down in there, but they haven't played too many shots that way. A couple, one over curled and one under curled, so the line might be a question here.
Yeah, and with that port, they're going to have to be close on what they think it's going to do. So he has opted for the draw option here. He was originally looking at a little run back there, which a bit tougher shot, but might have a bit better of a result if you're able to nose both stones and sit buried. But with 5 Saskatchewan stones in the rings, it's, I think you want to throw the higher percentage shot.
On his first of 2, here's Paul Delorey throwing his skip stone for Team Northwest Territories, looking for a freeze.
He threw it right where you put the broom, so we'll have to see how close he was.
Gotta go for line.
This one's going to over curl as well, and it's not going to have enough weight to do anything, but Saskatchewan continues to lie 5.
I don't think the weight was too far off on that one from Team Northwest Territories. Just really grabbed the curl. Seemed like a little bit lower rotation than some of the other throwers from this sheet. And that could be the reason right there.
And we just see them die a bit quicker with that lower rotation. So a draw for Eugene here. He's going to try to put this one top 12 and make the draw for Paul that much tougher, that much wider. Looking to lay 6 here, Team Saskatchewan.
Ideal spot for this would be just a corner tucked around that top blue stone. Looks a little light. Didn't quite get it into the ring, so there is full 8 foot available for Team Northwest Territories, but they are drawing against 5.
Yeah, no real good hit available for them. I thought maybe that blue one was a bit more exposed through the hole, but it's pretty much behind that red on the left-hand side. So forced into the draw here for Paul Delorey, and he's going to need full 8 foot and then some. Taking lots of ice here, so should be no problem of over curling. It's gonna be all about the weight. Here we go, last stone, second end. Draw attempt from Paul Delorey.
Sweeper's holding it for line. This one was starting to curl, seems to have straightened out a little bit.
The line's
Need
okay.
full 8.
Just gonna, will it have the right weight? And a Nice draw there from Northwest Territories. The skip, Paul Delorey, as he gets his single here in the second end. Score will be 2-1 Team Saskatchewan, and they'll have the hammer in the third. Can tell you that Bell Alliant TV1 is the exclusive provider of our coverage here at the Canadian Masters Curling Championship, and be sure to join Bell Alliant TV1's own Scott Squires as he chats with Cyril Lunny each Monday at 8:40 a.m. on the Sideline Scoop. Get up to date on Bell Alliant TV1's local sports coverage with Scott and Cyril. That's the Sideline Scoop, Mondays at 8:40 a.m. on CTV Morning Live Atlantic. Action underway in the third end here. I'll take a second to update you on some other games. We had a blank on sheet 1 between Manitoba and Ontario in the first end. Newfoundland took 1 over Quebec in the first end. They're up 1-0. And New Brunswick with a single over Northern Ontario, up 1-0. So some tight games in going around at the Wolfville Curling Club here this morning. As the guard attempt slips into the rings for Northwest Territories lead Ben McDonald.
Northwest Territories only scored the single in the second end, so down 1 point without hammer. Would be really happy with a force here out of Team Saskatchewan and get the hammer back down 2 points and get a chance to get the deuce.
We can tell you Northern Ontario responded with a single of their own against New Brunswick in the second, so it's 1-1 over there.
And one more update, looks like a steal of 1 for Newfoundland against Quebec in the second, so that'll be a 2-0 lead for Newfoundland over Quebec.
Bit of open play here to open the third end from both teams. That's because of the guard slipping into the rings when Ben McDonald's first stone.
Saskatchewan's well aware that it's Northwest Territories that needs to make the move, so as soon as that guard was in the rings, just get rid of it and play an open end. Had a few rocks in play last end, so I'm sure both teams would be okay with more of an open style of play here in the third.
Yeah, and for Northwest Territories, part of it is also just coming back from that last end, just saying, you know, look at the scoreboards. It's only 2-1, guys. You know, we made a draw against 5 last end, but 6 more ends of this game to go, and the scores were only down 1. So just bring the focus back, bring the nerves down, and you might see them make another move here in the fourth. But just taking things easy here so far in the third.
Second for Northwest Territories, Garry Tkachuk. This one really curling. Just hangs on. Great sweeping there.
Yeah, I think Garry is just a little tight out of his hand there, and we have seen movement late, even on the hits. So Saskatchewan's going to throw a corner guard here. It's kind of a free toss and put it up there, and if you get another rollout later on, you might be able to generate your deuce.
Yeah, it's a nice low-risk way for Team Saskatchewan to go for a couple points. The risk is you end up getting forced because Northwest Territories makes a nice hit and roll or some kind of draw around that corner closer to the end. But we are still only on second stones, so there's a bit of time to maneuver rocks.
Northwest Territories is going to try to use that corner guard Saskatchewan just through and try to come around it.
Garry might have got this one started. It is curling, and it started curling early. Sweepers were on that right out of the gate.
Yeah, so
Leaves a second in. Of course, it's light as well. The sweepers weren't able to drag that to the rings. So free draw behind staggered guards, although they're not staggered in the ideal way for Saskatchewan. But you make use of what you have in this game.
It's a bit more ice taken here from Team Saskatchewan. Northwest Territories actually moved that guard over to the left a little bit as we're looking at it now.
This one's gone early as well.
Yeah, once it gets off that center line, it really goes sideways, so you really need an ice call that will account for that. And with that guard moving closer to the center line, that's starting to favor Northwest Territories, as if they were to get one buried, it would shrink the rings down significantly for a potential last drop draw for Team Saskatchewan. It's definitely wider line on this one. We'll see how long it takes to get to the line and then cross it.
And perhaps Jim MacKinnon was able to throw appropriate draw weight. The other one's a little bit light.
And still lots of curl though. Walked over center line, no problem, and he does manage to tuck a piece of it, not entirely.
We'll see what Jim Wilson can see here as he gets into the hack for his first.
And for Team Saskatchewan here, no real reason to get too cute. Just run after that one that was just thrown. You do see half of it. If it overcurls and you peel your guard, that's okay. Being up one with hammer, you can open up rock stop the shot rock. Get it out on your second stone. Only problem being Northwest Territories gets to throw one in between there, so we'll try to make the guard a bit better if they wrecks on the guard. It's close. Oh, and a nice throw there from Jim Wilson.
Almost got the nose hit there around that guard.
Yeah, it actually comes up to the nose, so he remains a piece buried as well, and now forces Northwest Territories into a tougher shot and may keep the deuce alive here for Saskatchewan.
We saw a bit of sweeping maneuvering there from Dave Folk too. On one side, switch to the other in order to respond to the appropriate direction of sweeping. So the stone's still available for Northwest Territories. They'll go after it. Like to keep their shooter, keep play in the rings, and maybe get a hit and roll over there after. Don't really want to leave an open draw behind the guards for Saskatchewan, but looks like that may be what's available. Unless that redstone just spun back.
It just spun back, yeah. It was out of the rings and it just spun back to grab a piece of the back 12 foot.
I didn't see it spin, but I saw the expression on Skip Eugene Hritzuk's face.
Exactly.
He didn't look too happy about that.
And you know, Selena, whether that's spun back or not, Eugene could decide to still use his corner guards. There's one pretty tight to the center line there, so that Barry one and that one in the back 12 is no longer a real factor. But he's going to play down to it, and still trying to generate an easy deuce here, and not hitting, so just draw freeze down to that one in the back 12. I need this one to curl. Seems to be less movement going out to the left-hand wing than the right one.
It's going to be pretty close, though.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice throw there for Jim.
The Territories don't have much of an option. If you ever missed your draw around a corner guard, then you're looking at too easy. So knows this. Maybe a little high side. Like to keep your shooter if possible. You can always pick that out as well.
I think a nose hit would give you a better stone than that biter, and I think that would be enough to get rid of the blue. Depends on the weight he's throwing, and that ice kind of indicates to me that he might be keeping his weight down a bit. More of a control weight. If he throws a control weight, he'll definitely want to hit it on the high side, or else he might not have enough to bounce it out the back with a nose hit.
Seeing the up weight from Paul Delorey. Trying to remove the Saskatchewan counter here. And he is successful and hangs the shooter on the side. That's a good shot. Loses the backing as well.
Eugene not interested in trying that freeze attempt again. I thought he might. It went pretty well for him the first time. But just going to hit this one. Really want to keep the shooter, or else Paul will have a chance to wrap one around that guard there and maybe put the force back in play.
Needs a nose hit here on his first of two.
Got a bit more weight than Paul here, I think. No mistake, nose hit. Eugene obviously just content with the blank at this point. Take the hammer into the fourth end.
Some nice hitting out of these two teams. We saw those earlier ones getting by the guard pretty tight. And now these fairly accurate stones on the wings. Sometimes the ice is a bit more predictable toward the edge of the rings. So these skips have obviously learned from previous play. Figured out the ice.
I gotta say, Selena, these guys just speeding right along. Probably the fastest moving game we have out here this morning. And once again, a nice hit there from Paul Delorey. Will give Eugene and Team Saskatchewan the opportunity for the blank.
I think we'll see the heat here. Let the shooter roll out. And keep hammer going into four. Yeah, we've got complicated scenarios on all the other sheets here. If you're in the area, come on out and watch. There's lots of excitement to see. So looking for the blank here.
That's pretty good.
And well done.
So the score remains 2-1 after 3 ends. Saskatchewan will take the hammer into the fourth end. Was this another blank in the second end between Manitoba and Ontario, and Ontario skip Bruce Delaney with a wonderful shot in the third to pick up the deuce, so he'll go up 2-0 over Manitoba. Finally some scores in that game.
Those teams both undefeated as well.
Yeah, you'll see that
trying to
sometimes
hand
when
each other a first loss.
A bit more is on the line. You'll see a bit later start to the game. But the offense seems to be on now. Manitoba will be down 2, so we'll keep the Rocks in play again, I'm sure.
Lead for Northwest Territories, Ben McDonald starting us off. A little better effort than the last end. His first one slipped into the rings and was part of the reason we ended up with a blank. So no mistake this end. Tight guard. Right on the center line above the Bell Alliant logo you see there.
Yeah, that's a nice guard from Ben. He'll be happy about that. Eugene calling for the come around the center guard here. Putting his broom halfway through the 8-foot. Seems like a bit tight ice to me. I've seen quite a bit of curl. But this was where we saw it be a little straighter yesterday, coming towards the glass on the right-hand side. So we'll see if that's still the case today. But you hear the skip indicating that the line's a little tight right now. It looks like he's fine, actually. Just a little light, so we settle up next to Ben's guard there, and now that's a slightly overlapped guard situation for Northwest Territories, and
anywhere along that path will be good for the second one. The guard's just overlapping, so there's no tap on the red center stone, but a draw is just as good as a tap here.
Yeah, calling for the come around, but
a little tight out of Ben's hand.
There, yeah.
You might get the tap.
Paul would be happy with a second guard here as well.
This one's really curling.
And that's okay for Paul. We'll take that. Eugene's going to stick to the same side here. I thought maybe after seeing the curl Ben got on the last one that might go to that other side, but he's going to stick to it over here.
Yeah, some teams will choose a path that they are comfortable with, or sometimes teams will go with one they just threw. So in this case, Dave just threw this shot. Gives him a pretty good chance of making it the second time.
Bit better line here, and you see Verne Anderson there really trying to carve it with the hair broom, and I think he did a pretty good job at it, if you ask me. It's a pretty good look at it there. You don't see very much of that stone, so Paul Delorey is just going to try to follow it down. On this straighter line, though, as the rocks get higher in the house, the shot becomes tougher, so you really want to make this one.
Sweeper's on it early. See if they can get this around those guards. Weight looks pretty close.
Yeah, I think the line's okay as well. Oh, it's on the blue one. Just a little light there, and wasn't able to get around the second guard, but that'll be a usable stone for Northwest Territories regardless.
Not if Saskatchewan has anything to say about it. They'll try and remove that.
Yeah, and a chance to put a lot of pressure here. If you get any kind of inside flop, then Saskatchewan laying two buried with hammer. Wants to avoid the outside of the stone, or else jam it back on his own. So once again with the hairbrush here, trying to bring this up closer to nose.
Got to get inside nose, or they'll leave a double. And they were mostly there trying to avoid picking off their own stone in the forefoot.
I gotta say, Selena, the hairbrushes are quite something, because that rock was pretty far on the outside of the stone, and was able to walk it up into the nose, no problem. So this might be the only shot you get at access to that back one here for Paul Delorey, so I'll take any opportunity to get. A bit of extra weight here. I don't know why he's sweeping by himself here, but
just gets enough to clip the back one. Not to remove it, but gets it off the button or the forefoot area.
I'd probably be pretty happy with that, even if you didn't quite make the double. These scoring area is much larger now. If you were to ever get one in behind for a steal position.
Saskatchewan has to be a little careful here. I understand, no corner guards, and trying to play a low-risk way to get your couple points. But with those overlap center guards, if they don't place these ones around the center line perfectly, and Northwest Territories can loop one around, there is a potential for a force or even a steal.
Yeah, we always talk about being wanting to be in front of the T line. That's the key on this stone, and no mistake there. Settles into the top of the 12-foot, somewhat buried.
The outturn come around still there, but it's looking a little dicey for Northwest Territories. You see a couple blue counters and doesn't look so good for your chances of forcing. Talking about that come around now, if you're going to call it, you have to make it. You'd be in a world of hurt if not. This is Jack MacKinnon's first.
See Paul just adjusting the ice there on this side. I think there is a larger amount of curl, that's for sure. He could hit the open one in the back and try to get a roll as eventually as the rock moves its way up the house, and kind of make sure you don't give up more than 2 that way. They waited a long time on the line call for this one. Did they wait too long? Looks like it. It's just a slight wreck on the blue, and
unfortunately didn't hit it hard enough to open up that red stone on the center line for any kind of a tap.
Still overlapped, yeah.
Weight would have been quite nice on that. I suspect it would have settled in the top 8-foot. Bid shot rock. Had the sweepers been able to get that by. A little late on the line call there.
So another hit and flop opportunity here for Eugene. He may be happy with just nosing this one. That would make that draw that Paul just tried even tougher.
And this one's curling too. A nice call to get that roll.
He does get the flop, so that leaves the outturn draw still.
So some aggressive.
We've seen, if you make it, it's awfully good.
Some aggressive play from Team Saskatchewan here. Looks like it's paying off, and I don't think Northwest Territories has a choice. I think they've got to. They're committed to this come around now.
Yeah, I think, I still think you could hit and flop off that back one and probably get shot rock at the back of the 8-foot, but or even if you just nosed it and moved it higher, and a couple hits later, you have a nice roll into the back of the 4-foot or so.
Absolutely. You're still looking at giving up a couple points if you play that. It's the only problem, but might not be such a bad result at this point. Need to get this one around the guard.
I think both of those last 2 stones there are just, maybe top 12, top 8 weight with a lot of sweeping. Not quite the path you want to throw on your stones. A few feet short is what I'm saying. I think they were. They might have had a bit more natural path, had thrown it a bit heavier, gotten around the guards and gotten the late finish. But they just die there once they hit the slide path after the hog line.
It's still a dangerous stone for a tap, so Saskatchewan will hit it.
And Saskatchewan, if they play this right, can actually get a 4th rock in here. If they were to hit that other blue, would have promoted hit the other red rather, promoted the blue into the top 12. But they just get to the nose, so it's a fine exchange of stones. Definitely in control of that control zone. And you see the predicament now for Paul Delorey is if he were to keep playing that draw, Saskatchewan just put a rock in raised position there.
They haven't looked at the hit on the back one.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
You're in big trouble. And using stones with 2 stones left, using the rocks at the front of the rings to hit around is, not a bad option either. I don't see a lot of good things that can happen because there's so many blue stones. So the come around is the call here. They've decided on. Perhaps have a go at this and then play the hit on your last if you're really desperate.
Yeah, I don't. You only have to make one. But
a great draw here. can take the entire end away from Team Saskatchewan.
Yeah, Saskatchewan in a better position than the first one with that blue stone up front. They would have a run back up available. We often say you can't protect against everything, so make the shot that'll give the opposition a harder shot, and run backs are always that extra little level of difficulty.
So here we go on skip stones in the fourth end. Northwest Territories without hammer. Looking for a nice draw from skip Paul Delorey.
Line's better on this one. Should swoop here. Sweeper's trying to keep it moving to get the maximum curl. But, geez, Selena, that one didn't seem to want to curl at all.
Got a nice weight, though, just biting the tee line. Perhaps mostly visible from the hack for Saskatchewan skip Eugene Hritzuk.
I think he's got a straight rock there or something, because the other one's curled an awful lot.
Yeah, his weight was a little heavier, and the broom was out in the middle of the, or just almost to the middle of the 12-foot. Ryan, I'm not sure if they just took the extra ice, anticipating the same amount of curl, but when Jack MacKinnon, the third, was throwing, he was a little bit lighter too, so the different paths we mentioned might have come into play there.
So there's a great look at it there. He does manage to tuck a piece there. It's tucked enough to force Eugene into the run back, so mission accomplished, really.
And now he says he can see enough. They went from hit to run back to hit, so looks like Eugene can see enough from the hack. Of course, not raising another stone. The fewer stones you have to move, the easier the line call is. So they'll go for the open hit.
You want to make sure you're not on the guard here, because Paul Delorey is going to make that rock that much tougher to get at. Swooping it for line here. They're off now, so a nice weight control there. He does lose his shooter, but nice throw. Paul's going to try to make that draw again. Maybe a bit better this time. I think if he got closer to the guard, maybe a bit better. So Quebec was able to respond to that pair of Newfoundland points with a deuce in the third. So that game's all tied up, 2-2 on sheet 2 between Newfoundland and Quebec.
Now, what do you think, Ryan? Do you play that draw?
I don't know. I liked the hit and flop to the back of the house there, all end, but I don't
liked that for a while.
I don't know if I like it on your last as a saving grace. I think if you've stuck to this draw all end, you're best to try that again. Just got to get closer to the guard.
There's obviously pros and cons to both. You make the hit on that back stone, and you're looking at giving up 3 almost guaranteed, unless you make a wonderful roll, and probably then still giving up 2. Make this draw even better than the last, and you can steal.
Yeah, I think the hit and flop for shot rock is there, but you have to throw a ton of weight and hit 3/4 of the stone. So you're right, you probably end up rolling to be second shot, and then it's an open draw for 2 for Saskatchewan. Came close on his first attempt, so why not try this again?
Sweepers indicate their weight's a little more, but they're going for line. As soon as they can get off, they will.
Definitely tighter the guard now. It just straightens
Now they
right
need to
up
finish
there.
this, but Saskatchewan will do it for them. Oh, that one is buried. So no choice Well, I shouldn't say that. There is a choice. There is a draw for 1, but the run back is certainly there for 4. It is a long run back.
There's a better look at it now. It's funny on that angle we just had before. It appears that the red's not buried at all, but when you look at it here, you definitely got the late finish there to bury that rock.
Yeah, I'm almost behind the sheet, and it is over buried, certainly.
It's really strange on that previous angle. So tough shot forced here by Team Saskatchewan. He's got to make the run back. It is for 4.
Need to hit it
keep the shooter.
just high a nose.
He's close. No mistake from Eugene. Loses the shooter, but he will score 3 here in the 4th end, and he'll take a 5-1 lead over Northwest Territories after that wonderful run back.
I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. Bell Alliant is proud to be the official broadcaster for the 2016 Canadian Masters Curling Championships from Kentville and Wolfville, Nova Scotia, Kings County. Bell Alliant, there is more to love with fiber op.
So the teams are going to take a few minutes here to regroup, and we're going to take a few minutes as well. We'll be back with you in just a few, 4 minutes, I believe, yeah. So it's the 4th end break, and when we come back, we'll update you on how they're going.
So here we go. We're back in action here. Fifth end between Saskatchewan and Northwest Territories. Saskatchewan with a big three-pointer in the fourth, taking a 5-1 lead here in this game. We're at the Wolfville Curling Club. Action going on here and at the Glooscap Curling Club in Kentville, Nova Scotia. The municipality of Kings County is the title sponsor for this 2016 Canadian Masters Curling Championship.
We'd also like to thank the town of Kentville, town of Wolfville, and village of New Minas for their support, along with the Old Orchard Inn, Irving, and the Kentville and Wolfville Independent Grocers. These sponsors, along with numerous other community supporters, have helped make this championship a success already, and we're only partway through the week. Hope all the teams and their fans are enjoying their time in the Valley.
It's a wonderful part of Nova Scotia, very beautiful, settled up along the banks of the Bay of Fundy. And pretty textbook start here to this end. Saskatchewan with the lead. Going to throw their rocks into the house. Northwest Territories trying to make a bit of a comeback. It's going to throw a couple corner guards with hammer and try to utilize those a little later.
Time for Team Northwest Territories to regroup a little bit. They were in trouble most of the end in the fourth, and a great shot by the skipper, followed up by a beautiful run back from Eugene Hritzuk from Saskatchewan. It's a little defeating when you have something like that happen to you. And of course for Team Saskatchewan, momentum is definitely in their favor, so need some good shots out of the front end here from Northwest Territories to set this up. They can get back a couple points here in 5.
The second corner guard being asked by lead Ben McDonald. And after this stone, the 4-rock free guard zone will be over with. So I'll expect to see Saskatchewan hitting.
This one does not want to stop.
Yeah, so it's going to slide into the top of the 12-foot, so that makes the decision pretty easy for Saskatchewan. I'm just going to go after that one instead of the guard. Well, we promised you an update before we left on our fourth end break, and we can do that now. We know Newfoundland has taken a single in the fourth end, so they're up 3-2 over Quebec. Big, good battle going on there, back and forth. And New Brunswick, with a steal of 2 in the fourth end, have taken a 4-1 lead over Northern Ontario.
Verne Anderson just threw a bullet down there, managed to hold the line enough to remove the Northwest Territories stone, and rolled his shooter over to jam on his own blue stone, but leaves that in the center line area, top 4-foot.
One more game to tell you about, the battle of the undefeated between Manitoba and Ontario. We're still waiting for them to post a score of the fourth end, so still 2-0 for Ontario as we know right now, but they are playing the fifth, so as soon as we get that score in the fourth, we'll let you know. So Northwest Territories trying to utilize the one corner guard they have left here, and this one's not going to quite curl up enough for them. It's a little light as well. So the peeling game shall commence for Saskatchewan here.
And the idea here when you're peeling, you could go for a double peel, but the one guard out front is very long, and if you don't want to worry about a double peel, just hit the one that's most dangerous. So that's the one that's a little tighter to the rings. No mistake here from Verne Anderson. Makes the peel, loses the shooter.
Nice peel there.
I feel like Verne's been waiting all game to throw that peel weight. He's thrown 2 nice ones.
That's right.
So back at it for the Territories. As long as Saskatchewan continues to peel, they'll be able to try and generate some action in the rings, but looks like we have a burnt stone there, and we'll remove that from play.
So we never like to see that, but good on Northwest Territories for being honest about it, calling it out of play right away. We've seen, I don't think that was an example of it, but I think I've seen more burnt stones this year than I have in most of my curling career, and that's all related to that directional sweeping, where sweepers going back and forth trying to carve a rock down a certain path on the ice, and all it takes is a millisecond of confusion. You bang your broom with the other person's broom, and rock keeps going below it, and before you know it, you've touched the stone. And
it's funny when this all started happening and it was only one sweeper at a time for the most part on the rocks. I thought, you know what, this might make for fewer burnt rocks, just because you don't have two sweepers at a time and clunking brooms when you're on the ice. But it has indeed, like you mentioned,
it's been more the confusion.
Added confusion, and these sweeper calls for sweeping, and both people want to go, but it's only for the person sweeping against the direction of curl, and sometimes it's not always the most clear.
That's right. We've seen it. We saw it all year, really, at the Scotties, at the Brier. We saw some at the Women's Worlds. I think I saw one at the Men's Worlds earlier this week.
And world teams have been a bit slower to take up the cause with the sweeping. Started with Team Gushu out of Newfoundland, realizing that it was more effective, and a lot of teams were resistant to it, and then realized that they were probably the wrong side of an inch on some shots as a result of not using it. So it's been adapted quickly into Canadian teams, and then started with the elite teams across the world.
Yeah, it's a sinking feeling to if you think your opposition is onto something, whether you think it's legitimate or not. If there's any chance of it being real, then you don't want to leave them being the only team employing it on the ice.
Time for Northwest Territories to make use of the stones in the rings. For a freeze here, Jack MacKinnon.
Yeah, I think it's getting a little more desperate here for Northwest Territories. With one burnt stone, they lost the only guard they had, but a nice freeze there from Jack, and they'll keep the things alive for them.
So that red stone's going to be tough to remove. The problem is it's not shot rock. Right. And Saskatchewan is on their first skip stone here. Not even going to worry about removing it. Just, they're up points. They can afford to give up two. And if this guard is made, that's the guard that's being called, they're going at it early instead of waiting to see what Northwest Territories does. Just guarding that situation and preventing the Territories from even getting shot stone out of this.
Yeah, I like this call, Selena. There's no need to play anything a bit more dangerous, because take the red out, they can't, it's harder for them to get the reduce, but you can also accomplish that by throwing this guard. Throw the perfect guard here. I don't know how the Northwest Territories use that stone to get two.
And nicely made from Eugene Hritzuk. We'll have to see what the call is here. Giving ice for.
Looks like maybe just a control weight run back or so.
I think so.
Keep the stones closer to center. Don't overthrow it, and that would result in them bouncing off a bit harder.
There is a double peel available as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Don't think that's what the Territories are calling. But if you could ever remove those two blue stones out front, then it's hard for Saskatchewan to guard every angle. But this looks like you mentioned, Ryan, a bit of a tap back raise.
Yeah, just keeping that weight down. It will catch the curl that much quicker. So see they're sweeping on it now to keep the line. And
What
a nice
a
shot there from Paul Delorey. He makes the nice run back, and I really liked his weight selection there more than anything. Really kept the stones all grouped closer together, and Northwest Territories lies one.
That was a big shot there.
Yeah, I agree.
For Paul Delorey.
Yeah.
We said that, that Saskatchewan could afford to give up 2, and that's the reason why the guard was an okay call there.
The only way to make that better for
you
Eugene is to maybe have that guard be a bit higher and that run back's tougher.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're the Territories, you needed to make an awesome shot, and
kind of surprised that Eugene's not running after the same shot. He just saw Paul throw it, just saw Paul make it, and he would keep the steal alive by throwing that run back.
Yeah, I think it's probably just because 2 is acceptable and a force of 1 is great. They don't need to steal, being up 5-1. A little bit of wiggle room. And perhaps if you miss that run back, it's a bit of
an easier
unnecessary
shot for Paul
risk.
anyways.
This is an easier way to force.
Lots of line on it so far. I'd like to tuck a piece here and make Paul's second shot a bit tougher.
Needs to stop, though.
Yeah, he's just overthrown this one a little bit. So it does slide to the back of the 8-foot, maybe back 12-foot, and it will be an open draw for 2 for Northwest Territories and Paul Delorey. It's a good turnaround here for the team from the Territories. Nice shot by Paul and a miscue by the opposition skip, and a chance at your deuce.
Yeah, this is the first real chance for the Territories since the first end to get the 2 points. They did have a corner guard there and ended up not making quite enough shots to get their 2 points, and unfortunately a similar path actually in the first end. Paul missed that draw, so he'll make no mistake here with the line.
When you consider the burnt stone, that makes this deuce even more impressive, because Northwest Territories have made this deuce throwing 7 stones to the opposition's 8, more or less. And Paul can afford to come back to the blue one that Eugene just threw here. The pro miss is a bit heavy, but I don't think that's what he's done. The sweepers are sweeping hard to get it into second shot rock position, and that's a great sweep from the Northwest Territories front end there, and they will get their deuce here in the 5th end. Come to within 2 of Saskatchewan, score 5-3. Saskatchewan with the hammer in the 6th. So we finally have an update on sheet 1. Manitoba was able to score 1 in the 4th, so they continue to trail Ontario 2-1. Ontario with hammer in the 5th, and an interesting end developing there that we'll be able to update you on shortly as they wrap up with skip stones.
Territories just waiting to throw their first stone there for Ben McDonald, and just watching them, the front end there, they just swept the last stone end to end, and probably a little bit tired after that, and then have to settle in the hack and get ready to do it all again. Poor Garry Tkachuk, the seconds, at least the leads, get to sit in the hack and throw the stone. The seconds have to sweep it again.
That's right. And another nice center guard there from Ben McDonald. He's really brought his game up in the last few ends after a couple of miscues early in the game.
So for Team Saskatchewan, giving up the 2, as we mentioned, was acceptable in the last end, so they are still up 2 points with hammer. And we won't see a corner guard from them. They'd like this one from lead Dave Folk in the rings. No unnecessary risks needed in this end.
You're going to see Verne carve this right into the center line with that hair broom there. Just missing a few feet of weight. Freeze tap back attempt here from Northwest Territories. Try to start moving that rock back, maybe eventually get it behind the tee line. Has to do some curling to get contact, and we'll do just that and settle up next to it.
The Territories Redstones fully accessible. I think a safer play here would be a hit. You don't have to even keep your shooter. You can roll all the way to the other side of the rings. Not that there's that much room by the guard. But I don't think you really want to leave that stone top 12 foot.
Saskatchewan could apply some real pressure here if they got to the inside of the stone and have two buried at the top of the house.
They need the extra curl.
There we go with the hair broom again. Brings it over enough to save the shooter. And gets a little bit of contact on that back one, so that pops out on the other side now.
That was unbelievable. Rock was not close to getting to the nose.
Oh, I know.
Still didn't hit the nose, but got enough to
The hair broom are
push out that
really
red one.
impressive sometimes. And we can tell you on sheet one, Bruce Delaney with a precise shot that would have been for 6. Slight miscue on the line call, and it actually results in a steal of 1 for Manitoba. So that is a 7-point swing if you look at it that way. Now it's all tied up at 2. Ontario with a hammer in the 6th over there on sheet 1.
I'm sure Ontario doesn't want to look at it that way. Tie game. What was a light rock there from Garry Tkachuk, but still in usable position. I think it's something that Saskatchewan can't ignore.
Yeah, I think with the lead in the hammer here, you really want to start clearing out that front, because there's still great guards for Northern Ontario to get behind here, even though those blue stones are in the house. Northern Ontario is going to have to go full out offense here, so ignoring stones is not an issue.
That peel weight from Verne Anderson.
Yeah, he really throws that nice, eh?
Hits it thin enough, managed to get contact with the Northwest Territories stone to the side of the center line and push it over to a corner guard, which was great, and still loses the hit stone. So great shot there.
Yeah, great throw by Verne.
At this point, with the team that's up, you're looking for a shot on your last. You've got to score. It's the 6th end. You'd love to score and ideally have hammer in the last end and be up a couple points. So opening up that center was very important there.
I can tell you Northern Ontario has come back with 3 points on sheet 4, so they're all tied up at 4 with New Brunswick. Good battle going on there.
Northwest Territories still looking to put the pressure on.
I think the call
Call
here
will
was
come
a
around.
guard, but it's a little heavy, so I'm going to change the plan here.
behind that red, maybe with the help of a little tick off the blue, and that's exactly what it'll do. It's fully buried now.
Good last minute call there from the
Yeah.
skipper, Paul Delorey, just to get that. It was a fast rock coming down the ice.
I think Eugene's happy with peeling the guard here, even though the room's next to the rock in the house. I thought you might see more weight here, but maybe he really is trying to keep it quiet and play the one in the house. He's got to get off his own blue first.
They will not.
Miscue there from Team Saskatchewan. I don't really quite understand the call. You're up 2 with hammer. Just get rid of the guard. Tried to play it cute and paid the price.
Yeah, I think it was just missed the wrong way. Peeling the guard, even if you're going for the one in the rings, peeling the guard was an acceptable miss. So you could be tight on that and over curl, but you can't be wide. So just a little bit of an error there.
Something tells me with their weight selection that they were going pretty hard after the one in the rings.
Managed to keep their own blue stone that was ticked in the ring, so that's okay. And here with this one coming deep, Jack MacKinnon might leave an opening again. Just didn't get enough curl there for Jack, but because that's in the rings, there is a double available. Might not be able to keep the shooter for Saskatchewan, but if you over curl and miss the double, you do keep your shooter and have 3 dangerous looking Saskatchewan stones hanging around. Jim Wilson here. Sweeping for line.
Wants to keep this one on the high side and make the double. It's close. Oh, he's just going to run it by. That's too bad.
Looks like they could have kept that shooter and made the double, just a little bit less curl. So a little bit dangerous times here for Northwest Territories. You're basically guarding for your life. We are getting close to the end of the game, and Paul Delorey recognizing that it's all or nothing here in this end for the steal.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
even a force.
Steal here, come to within 1, and even if you force Saskatchewan in 7, you'd have the hammer in 8. And it's all about switching that hammer order up right now, because right now it's favoring Saskatchewan. And Paul Delorey is looking for a second guard here, and it's taking him a few stones, but it looks like he's going to be okay on this one. Just wants to be sure it doesn't set up too easy of a double peel. I guess double peels are never easy, I shouldn't say that.
There is risk too of the one of those guards running into the blue stones in the rings. But you know, as Team Saskatchewan, we mentioned earlier, just looking to score here, preserve a few point advantage. So clearing things out is a very good option.
Yeah, if he makes a double peel, don't know how he misses those blues there. Something's going to happen. There we see it.
You got a little lucky, one of the peeled stones flying onto the other sheet and managed to miss the rocks in the other game as the skip's final stone was coming to rest. That could have really messed things up. It's important to keep track.
We're seeing a lot of rocks flying from sheet to sheet here this week. Well, especially this morning, I've seen particularly a few more than usual. But you know, all the players so immersed into their games, things are getting a little tighter in the standings. The games are meaning a bit more every day. But all that aside, you got to catch your rocks.
Yeah, hopefully, I mean, it does get habits to everyone, and you just hope that it doesn't impact another game.
Yeah, so with both of those guards gone, Paul Delorey recognizing that his all or nothing approach would be leaning towards the nothing side of it, with only one stone to protect and only one stone to protect it with. So he's going to try to eliminate some blue here and still try to roll something into the center line area, but two birds at one stone, as we call it. And it's not a bad shot, but he would have liked to be 1 and 2.
Overcurled a tiny little bit and didn't make contact with all the blue stones, and
Yeah.
certainly didn't leave himself sitting 1 and 2. So deuce materializing here.
Yeah, Paul wanted to roll to the center line with his shooter there, and as Selena mentioned, just curled up to the nose of the blue, so didn't get quite the action he wanted on the second red.
And this is all a result of keeping things clear for Team Saskatchewan and collecting their stones in the rings.
Yeah, even with the jam, it really was the double peel there that is creating this deuce opportunity for Saskatchewan.
Needs to stick around for first and second. That one rolling a bit, but just hangs on. So a great shot there from skip Eugene Hritzuk.
Yeah, really tons of separation between the two blues. And Paul Delorey looking at his options here.
Paul would love to sit too. I don't think that's possible. So I actually like what Jack MacKinnon's indicating here, hit and roll behind his own. That's the only coverage you have in order to sit shot. Looks like Paul's really tempted to go for a very thick double. That is a tough shot. They'll call a timeout just to save a bit of time here. Get a little bit of time to think about what's the appropriate call.
Yeah, you can make the hit and roll on either rock, but it's awfully long on that number 7 stone that Eugene just threw. So I like Jack's call as well. It's a much shorter roll, and even if you just roll a stone's width over, it'll make Eugene's last one quite a bit tougher. The bonus on the other rock is that if you ever hit it the right way and miss the roll, you could make the double, and then could lay 2 or 3. But as Selena mentioned, it's a very tough double.
My only other concern with the hitting the higher one that's on the right side of the screen is if you were ever a lick wide, and it's not just missing the roll, but jamming that blue stone on the red. I know it's an outside chance that could happen, but there's 3 points that Saskatchewan could get.
For sure.
I just prefer the left side hit and roll because you are rolling behind cover. It's a shorter roll, which is easier to call.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think
looks like they've chosen the higher one.
skip is ruling. This was his first thought. A shot he prefers. Deciding which turn to call, out turn or in turn. We've seen the interns going inside out curling, so they're switching it up, I think, for that reason.
Yeah, I'm still somewhat surprised by that, because to get that roll, with such the long roll, and if he was looking at the double at all, it would be a bit easier with the other turn, considering how the rocks would hit and bounce off each other. This is going to give him a bit flatter of a roll with this turn, and that means he's going to have to throw that much more weight to get that far.
So a pressure shot here to try and force Saskatchewan to a single. Down 2, Paul Delorey.
I don't think he's wide. He's just going to hit the side of it thin and roll out. So it will be an open draw for 2 for Team Saskatchewan. And they as well are going to have a little chat about which turn to throw here. Skip Eugene Hritzuk likes the natural into the pin, and that is what will prevail here. He's the one throwing it. That's what he likes. That's often what you'll see happen with Skip.
Yeah, and we really haven't seen too many, especially from Team Saskatchewan going to the wings. They haven't played with a lot of corner guards. They've generated their points by coming around the center guards that the territories have been placing.
Yeah, I think the third, Jim Wilson there, just interested in the possibility of playing down to the backing, but Eugene says, I'm a skip. I should be able to hit the 4-foot without backing anytime, so we're going to throw the more natural turn into the center of the house.
We've had this conversation a couple times about playing to backing and throwing the extra weight and not curling enough to meet the backing.
And go right by.
It doesn't always work out when you
needs a sweep to be
try
second
it.
stone. He's just going to come out a few inches light, so missed opportunity there for Team Saskatchewan. It will just be the single here in the 6th end as they take a 6-3 lead. And with that, Northwest Territories remains alive, remains with a bit of hope here in the last 2 ends of this game. Bell Alliant is proud to be the official broadcaster of the 2016 Kings County Canadian Masters Curling Championships from Kentville and Wolfville, Nova Scotia. Bell Alliant, there's more to love with fiber optic.
We hope you're enjoying the coverage here on Bell Alliant TV1. We have coverage all week of the championship between the two clubs, the Glooscap Curling Club in Kentville and the Wolfville Curling Club. Men's and women's competitions are alternating back and forth between the two clubs, and our next games will be featured at 3:00 p.m. at Glooscap. And if you're staying on this channel, at 2 o'clock here in Wolfville. The 2 o'clock game in Wolfville will be women's BC versus Manitoba. And over at Glooscap, where you'll find Ryan and I at 3 o'clock, will be Manitoba taking on Saskatchewan in the men's division.
That's right. So spending our day with this Team Saskatchewan here, Selena and I. Tell you about Quebec scoring a deuce in the 6th after blanking the 5th. So they've taken the lead on Newfoundland 4-3. It's a 1-point game. Newfoundland will have the hammer in the 7th. And another good start here from Northwest Territories with the corner guard. Saskatchewan, of course, throwing their stones into the rings with the lead. That's great position there from Saskatchewan lead Dave Folk.
Down 3 points, Northwest Territories needs to get a deuce, and then they'll be looking for a steal to take it to an extra.
So throwing up both corner guards here for Team Northwest Territories.
And of course, a three-pointer's not out of the question. We've seen a few of them out on the sheet today, one on our sheet and one on sheet 4.
They'll need a few misses for that, but Team Saskatchewan not giving them much to work with so far in this game.
Verne Anderson, king of the peels this game.
Yeah, he generates the weight nice. Yeah. Nice peel there. So we'll see how long the Northwest Territories keep up with the center guards. I expect to see a few more. But eventually he's going to make a move into the house there, either going around the corner or hitting and rolling off the corner, since those two blues are in such good position.
Yeah, you have to delay it as much as you can. Saskatchewan's a good hitting team here,
Yeah, exactly.
and if you bring the play into the house too soon, they're good at hitting and keeping their shooters hanging around.
Yeah, and even though there are two of those blue stones, they are a fairly easy double, so they can be counted as one because you can get rid of both with one stone. So you might see Northwest Territories just go straight around the corner guard and try to set up their deuce that way. Tell you Ontario's taken one in the 6th end on sheet 1, so they lead Manitoba 3-2. Manitoba with the hammer in the 7th. Good battle going on there after a missed opportunity by Ontario to blow it open earlier. Manitoba staying alive. Battle of the undefeated there on sheet 1.
Working hard to get this peel and roll the shooter all the way out, which they do successfully. That is the benefit of throwing the up weight, of course, is even if you hit a fair chunk of the rock, your shooter will roll further with the up weight.
A steal. No, not a steal, sorry. New Brunswick has the hammer, but they're drawing for 4 over on sheet 4. We'll let you know if he makes that one.
Yes, that would break that game. I mean, it in the 6th end to score a 3, it was already breaking a tie game open, and a chance for 4 would be huge to double the score.
Oh, and that's an unfortunate miss there from Garry. Tkachuk trying to hit and roll behind the corner guard. It just didn't curl up enough. And so you're going to see Saskatchewan throw the center guard here. And now the work will be cut out for them from Northwest Territories.
Maybe throwing the peel.
Yeah, it looks like he's throwing the peel. Yeah, right.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised
saw
to
the
hear.
original indication. He put his broom down there, kind of seeing the guys if they were interested in keeping the pedal down. We're just going to keep things open. But hey, why don't you get 2 rocks in one
Make
stone?
the roll. Absolutely. Good shot.
Makes the peel and rolls to be a center guard. So wonderful throw there.
I was going to say if I was Jim Wilson throwing, I would be asking for the peel too.
Yeah, it's always a delicate balance there as to at what point you just want to play defensive, and if you feel you're playing well and you feel you kind of have an advantage on the other team, you know, sometimes you'll see them just keep the pedal down and keep the aggression on and try to get out of this 15 minutes earlier than normal. And New Brunswick did make their draw for 4 there over there on sheet 4, so they've taken an 8-4 lead over Northern Ontario. So trouble here for Team Saskatchewan. Or Team Northern Ontario, rather. So he seems to have switched to the offensive call here. Could throw the peel again. But just laying 3 and it's getting late in the end, so Saskatchewan may be recognizing an opportunity to put this away right now. Call is just to freeze to that one top 4. They don't really want to roll off. They're going to set up a bit of a pocket. That's not a bad throw.
So with 3 rocks on the 4-foot for Team Saskatchewan, the Northwest Territories really need to put the stone in a good position, but if Jack MacKinnon can lay one right on top of everything, I think it'll be pretty difficult for that red stone to be removed.
Yeah, just calling for the draw here, but this seems to be coming in a little heavier than that, and
Maybe get the roll instead.
it just won't curl enough for them with that extra weight. So it does get a bit of a flop behind the corner guard. It settles in for second shot. Not an awful result for Northwest Territories.
Yeah, it's about all the Saskatchewan can do is try and pick that out. It is in scoring position. Could be good for two. Safe way to play this for Eugene Hritzuk is to play it tight to the guard, and if you peel the guard, that's fine. They are up 3 points, and giving up 2 isn't the end of the world.
That's right. We can tell you that Newfoundland blanked the 7th end to keep the hammer in the 8th. So classic curling scenario shaping up over there on ice 2. Newfoundland down 1 with hammer playing the 8th end against Quebec. Weight a little lower here than in the previous peel attempts.
Heard Eugene mention he wasn't sure if it would curl or go straight. So they're watching the line closely, but no mistake with
Nice
that down
throw
weight.
there. And he rolls into the button area, and Saskatchewan lays 5. The advantage of keeping that weight down is getting that sweet roll. You know, Eugene could have easily came down and ripped that that red out of the rings with no real worry about his shooter, just a peel weight pick, but made it the tough way, and the rewards pay off.
Absolutely, and the beauty of that red territory stone being so tight to the rings that if Saskatchewan had wrecked on the guard, the shooter would have rolled in as well. So nice
yeah,
choice.
you're right, yeah. Smart skip there from Team Saskatchewan.
Delorey has to make a little bit of room for himself here.
Yeah, does he ever?
Get a couple of these blue stones, just pop them off. Doesn't need to throw big weight, just back house or just through weight. Leave a shooter in front of a mess of blue stones behind the tee line.
Yeah, it looks like he's taking your advice, Selena. It's just a low weight takeout coming down here. Really needs to get by that front blue though.
They were sweeping to get that to curl, and that was definitely an overcall on the sweep. Looks like beautiful weight, Paul through, and they missed the line call there. Got that too much, or to curl too much, sorry.
Yeah, you can't be too early with it, is what we've found out here as we experiment with the new sweeping techniques.
And we've seen time and time again in that particular path, draws curling a lot. And with down hit weight, you could expect more of the same. That's indeed what happened.
I think you've seen the teams make that adjustment a little bit, especially at the professional level. You know, watching the Worlds a little bit this week, saw both the Scottish team and the American team when a sweeper was wanting to get on it to make it curl. You heard the skip say often, not yet. The weight has to come off first, and then you can kind of make it work. But if you jump on them too early, you might not get the result you're looking for.
So Eugene Hritzuk, his last stone of the 7th end, really just trying to make it difficult for Northwest Territory to score. I don't think 2 is in the picture, so we're seeing them ignore the Territory stone. Lob this into the top house area.
That's a great stone there as well. And
Sitting
Saskatchewan
6.
lies 6.
Draw Ryan to the button. I don't know. It looks a little worse from the camera angle than it does from behind the sheet. Maybe there. Yeah. But he's going to have to be pretty tight to the guard. And sweepers will have to mark closely and guide that stone into the button. Needs button to score.
Yeah, I think he almost has to throw back 8, back 12, and hope to make it off that
the blue that is on the pin. Just don't think it goes very far if you hit it, so I'm not sure how you get shot rock here.
So in the last stone of the 7th end, down 3 points. Paul Delorey with a pressure draw for a single.
Might be tempted to throw a little extra rotation and keep it straight coming down, but then that plays with the weight that you throw as well, and throw too many factors in play there, and it becomes more distracting than anything. And this one is over curling already. So it will come up blue, and it will be a steal of 6 for Saskatchewan as the gloves come off and they call it a game. Make the final 12-3. Saskatchewan picking up the win, improving their record to 2-2. Northwest Territories falling now to 4. That'll certainly help Saskatchewan's chances at making the championship pool. They have a big game against Manitoba coming up this afternoon. Manitoba currently battling Ontario on sheet 1. And in order to find out how that one wraps up, you'll have to log on to NS Curl and check all the live scoring out there.
We will catch you back at 2 o'clock here at the Wolfville Curling Club on this feed for the women's BC Manitoba game, or at the Glooscap Curling Club sheet 3 Manitoba Saskatchewan game on the men's side.
That's right, Selena and I will have that call straight from the Glooscap Curling Club over in Kentville. Going to wrap up our coverage for this morning. On behalf of Selena and I and the whole team at Bell Alliant TV1, we thank you for watching and hope you'll join us this afternoon.